Power BI or Tableau? It's probably the most argued about question in data analytics. And honestly, most of the answers you'll find are useless because they compare features, 50 rows of ticks and crosses, which tells you nothing about the actual question you're asking, which is, which one gets me a job? So that's the question I'm answering today. Not which tool is better, which tool gets you hired. And I'll give you the verdict right now because I'm not going to make you wait 25 minutes for it. For most people, in most places, learn Power BI first. It's cheaper, so more companies buy it. So more job postings ask for it. That's the whole logic chain. And we'll walk through every link in it. But, and this genuinely matters, there are specific situations where that advice is wrong. And if you're in one of them and you just follow the crowd, you'll spend 6 months learning the wrong tool. So let's do this properly. The market data, the real pricing. Because price is what decides what companies buy, where each tool actually wins. And I'll be fair to both. What the job market looks like in India and globally. Salaries. And the one thing Tableau has that is a genuine advantage for job seekers that almost nobody talks about. Then at the end, a decision tree. 4 questions. You'll know which one to pick. Let's get into it.
Let's start with the numbers, because this is where the argument usually begins and ends. Market share. Depending on which analyst you read, Power BI sits somewhere around 20 to 24% of the business intelligence market. Tableau sits around 16 to 18%. So Power BI is ahead, but I want you to notice something. That's not a blowout. Tableau is not dying. You'll see thumbnails saying Tableau is dead, and that's just not what the data shows. Now, the number that actually matters to you. Job postings. If you look at data analyst roles in Indian cities, SQL shows up in about 3/4 of them, Advanced Excel in about 2/3, and Power BI or Tableau in roughly half. Notice how those last two get listed together? That's really common. A huge number of job descriptions say Power BI or Tableau, or they say experience with a BI tool, which tells you something important, and it's the first thing I want you to take away. Employers are often not testing whether you know one specific product. They're testing whether you can build a dashboard that answers a business question. The tool is the vehicle. The skill is the thinking. But some jobs do name one specifically. So let's work out which and why.
It's worth understanding how we got here because it explains the whole market and it takes 90 seconds. Tableau came first in a meaningful sense. It came out of Stanford research and it was genuinely revolutionary. Before Tableau, making a decent interactive chart meant either writing code or wrestling with something horrible. Tableau made it drag and drop, and it looked good, and analysts loved it. For years, it was the aspirational tool. Then Microsoft did what Microsoft does. Power BI launched properly around 2015, and it was frankly not as good at first. But Microsoft priced it aggressively and bundled it into an ecosystem that companies were already buying. And they shipped updates monthly, relentlessly, for a decade. The gap closed. Then in 2019, Salesforce bought Tableau for nearly $16 billion, which tells you how valuable it was. So now it's not really Power BI versus Tableau. It's Microsoft versus Salesforce, fought through analytics tools. Understanding that helps you predict what happens next. Both will keep getting deeper integration with their parent ecosystem. And the choice will keep being decided by which ecosystem a company already lives in.
Here's the part that explains almost everything else, and most comparison videos skip it because it's boring. Pricing. Stay with me because this is the mechanism behind the job market. Power BI Desktop is free, fully featured, no credit card. Power BI Pro, which is what you need to share things properly, is about $14 per user per month. Premium per user is about $24. Tableau works differently. Tableau Public is free, but everything you publish is visible to the world, so it's no good for company data. For actual work, Tableau has 3 tiers. Viewer, about $15 a month, and that person can only look. Explorer, about $42, and they can edit in the browser. Creator, about $75 a month, and that's the one that includes Tableau Desktop, the actual building tool. So look at what that means. A person who builds dashboards costs you $14 a month on Power BI and $75 on Tableau. That is roughly 5 times. And that single number is why so many companies chose Power BI. Not because someone did a careful feature evaluation. Because finance looked at 2 quotes.
And it gets more dramatic the bigger the company gets.
Let me give you some real numbers, because the gap compounds in a way that surprises people. Take a small team, 25 people, 3 of them building dashboards, 22 just viewing. Power BI comes in around $3,500 a year. Tableau, around $6,500. So Tableau is roughly double, but at that size, both are affordable, and it's not decisive. Now scale it up. 500 users, 100 creators, 200 explorers, 200 viewers. Power BI is about $5,000 a month. Tableau is close to $19,000. That's a 73% saving. And now we're talking about real money that someone has to justify. And there's one more thing that makes the gap even wider. Power BI has capacity-based pricing. If a company buys a Fabric capacity, which is expensive upfront, viewing becomes free for everyone in the organization. So you pay once, and then 10,000 people can look at dashboards for no extra cost. Tableau charges per person, always. For embedded analytics, where you're pushing dashboards out to thousands of customers, the difference gets absurd. So follow the money. Cheaper tool, more deployments, more job postings. That's the chain.
But price isn't the only driver. And if you only understand price, you'll get this wrong. The second driver is ecosystem. And honestly, it might be even stronger. Power BI is a Microsoft product. If a company already runs Microsoft 365, already uses Teams, already has data in Azure or SharePoint or Dynamics, then Power BI just slots in. Same login, embeds in Teams, shows up in PowerPoint. There's no procurement fight because they're already a Microsoft customer. Tableau is a Salesforce product. Salesforce bought them back in 2019. So if a company runs on Salesforce, if their customer data lives in Salesforce Data Cloud, then Tableau has exactly the same home advantage, just in a different house. And here's the rule I genuinely give you, and it applies to your career too. The ecosystem decides about 80% of the outcome. A technically better tool that fights the existing tech stack loses to a slightly worse tool that fits, every time. So when you're deciding what to learn, don't ask which tool is better. Ask which ecosystem the companies you want to work for are already living in. That question is far more useful, and you can actually answer it by reading job posts.
One area that rarely makes it into these comparisons, but absolutely comes up in enterprise interviews, is governance, which is a boring word for who is allowed to see what and can we prove it. Both tools do row-level security. That's where the same dashboard shows a Mumbai manager only Mumbai data and a Delhi manager only Delhi data automatically, based on who logged in. Both do it well, and you should learn how in whichever tool you pick because it comes up constantly in real work. Where Power BI pulls ahead is everything around that. It inherits the whole Microsoft security apparatus. Sensitivity labels that follow the data when someone exports to Excel, integration with Purview for cataloging, deployment pipelines so you can move a report from development to test to production properly, like software. Object-level security, hiding entire columns from certain people. Tableau has governance, and for most companies it's perfectly adequate. But in heavily regulated industries, banking, healthcare, government, Power BI's depth here is a genuine reason companies choose it. And if you're interviewing at a bank, being able to talk about row-level security intelligently will put you ahead of most candidates.
Let's talk about learning curve, because both camps lie about this in opposite directions. Power BI people say it's easy because it's like Excel. Tableau people say theirs is easy because you just drag things. Both are half true, and here's the honest version. Getting to your first basic chart is faster in Tableau. Genuinely. You drag a field, it makes something sensible, you drag another, it updates, it feels good. Power BI's first hour is clunkier. There's a ribbon, there are panes, there's more setup. But then the curves cross. Power BI's hard part comes later, and it's called DAX. It's the formula language and specifically a concept called filter context, and it makes a lot of people quit around week 3. Tableau's hard part also comes later, and it's called level of detail expressions, plus understanding how table calculations work across a view. Same story, different name. So neither one is easy. They're both genuinely hard at the same depth, just in different places. If you already live in Excel and pivot tables, Power BI will feel more natural. If you think visually and you like exploring data by playing with it, Tableau will feel more natural. That's a real difference, and it's about how your brain works.
Now let's compare them on the work you'll actually spend your time doing, which is not making charts. It's cleaning data. And here I think Power BI has a clear edge. And I say that as someone who likes both tools. Power BI has Power Query built into it. It's right there. Same application. No extra license.
and it's genuinely excellent. Every cleaning step you click gets recorded, so next month you refresh and it all replays. Split columns, unpivot, merge tables, fill down, all of it included. Tableau's equivalent is Tableau Prep Builder, and Prep is good. Visually, it's arguably nicer because you can see the flow of your data as a diagram and inspect it at every step. But it's a separate application, and it only comes with the creator license, the $75 one. So for a lot of Tableau users, especially Explorer license holders, it's simply not available. And that changes behavior. It pushes people to clean data in calculated fields, or to ask a data engineer, or to do it in Excel first, which is where mistakes live. So on data preparation, for the money, Power BI wins. Not because Prep is bad, because Power Query is included and Prep often isn't.
Let's talk about the calculation languages, because this is where people actually struggle. Power BI uses DAX, data analysis expressions. It looks like Excel formulas at first, which is comforting, and then it stops behaving like Excel, and that's where people get lost. The core idea is filter context. Every measure is calculated inside whatever filters the chart and the user have applied. And once you understand that, calculate makes sense, and DAX opens up. Before that, it feels random. Tableau uses its own calculation language, and it's honestly a bit gentler to start with. The syntax reads more like plain code. But then you hit level of detail expressions. Fixed, include, exclude. And they solve the same problem DAX solves with calculate, which is compute this at a different grain than the chart is showing. Same concept, different words. Here's what I tell you. Whichever one you learn, you're learning a way of thinking about grain and context, and that idea transfers. People who really understand DAX pick up level of detail expressions quickly, and the reverse is true too. The hard part isn't the syntax, it's the mental model, and the mental model is portable.
Right. Let me now make the honest case for Tableau, because if you watch this far, you might think I'm biased, and this is where Tableau genuinely wins. Visualization. Tableau is better at it, not marginally. It has more chart types out of the box. It gives you finer control over how things look. It handles unusual visualizations, things like bump charts, complex maps, custom shapes, without you fighting it. And the default output just looks more considered. Power BI has closed a lot of this gap, and its custom visuals marketplace helps. But if your job is to produce a beautiful, precisely designed, pixel-perfect piece of data storytelling, Tableau is the better instrument. There's a second thing too, which is exploration. Tableau is built for the workflow where you don't know what you're looking for yet. You throw fields around, you flip between chart types, you follow a hunch. It's fast and it's fluid. Power BI is more structured. It wants you to load, model, and then build, which is better if you know what you're building, and worse if you're wandering around looking for the story. So, genuine Tableau strengths, not marketing, real ones. Now, AI, because it's 2026 and you can't skip it. Both have made big bets, and they've bet in different directions, which is genuinely interesting. Power BI has Copilot, and Copilot is about helping you build. Describe the report you want in plain English, and it generates it. Ask it to write a DAX measure, and it writes it. Ask it to explain a model someone else built, and it explains it. It's assisted authoring. Tableau went the other way. Tableau Pulse is about pushing insights to you. It watches your metrics and sends you a message when something changes, on your phone or in Slack, without you opening a dashboard at all. Plus Einstein, and the newer Tableau Next, which is built to let AI agents query your data on Salesforce Data Cloud. So, Power BI's AI helps the analyst build faster. Tableau's AI tries to remove the need for the analyst to build at all. Both are real strategies. And which one wins probably depends less on the technology and more on which AI ecosystem a company has already committed to. Microsoft shops get Copilot, Salesforce shops get Agentforce and Tableau. But here's the part about AI that matters for you as a learner, and it's a bit deflating. Most of it is gated behind expensive licenses. Copilot in Power BI needs a fabric capacity, and the entry point for that is around $5,000 a month, or premium per user at $24. Tableau's newer AI features need Tableau Plus or Enterprise tiers. So if you're learning at home on the free Power BI desktop or Tableau Public, you probably cannot touch most of this. And I think that's actually fine. And here's why. Do not learn a BI tool by learning its AI features. Learn the fundamentals. Data modeling, filter context, chart selection. Because the AI can generate a measure for you,
but it cannot tell you that your relationship is wrong, or that your date table isn't marked, or that a bar chart was the wrong choice. In interviews, nobody is going to ask whether you can prompt Copilot. They'll ask why your numbers doubled after a join. The AI raises the floor. It does not raise the ceiling. And you are trying to get hired above the floor. Let's get specific about the job market, starting with India, since that's where a lot of you are. First, the honest headline. Power BI appears in more Indian job postings than Tableau. If you're optimizing purely for the number of doors open, Power BI is the answer. And that's consistent with the pricing logic we walked through. But here's a nuance I don't want to skip, because it complicates the simple advice. India is actually one of Tableau's strongest markets globally. When you look at where Tableau's customers are concentrated by country, India is right up there near the top. So Tableau is not a rare skill here. It's very much alive, particularly in certain places. And those places are fairly predictable. Global capability centers, the offshore arms of large multinationals, often run whatever the parent company runs. And a lot of those parents standardized on Tableau years ago. Consulting firms often use both, depending on the client. Product companies and startups lean Tableau more than you'd expect. Traditional Indian enterprises, banks, manufacturing, anyone deep in Microsoft leans strongly Power BI. So the correct move is not to guess. Search both terms on a job site, filter to your city, and count. Globally, the picture is similar in shape but shifted. In the US market, Tableau's position is stronger than its global market share suggests, particularly in a few sectors. Finance, and I mean investment banks and hedge funds, healthcare analytics, big tech product analytics teams, consultancies. In those pockets, Tableau is often the standard, and a Power BI only candidate is at a real disadvantage. Meanwhile, Power BI dominates in mid-sized enterprises everywhere, in manufacturing, in retail, in the public sector, and in anywhere that runs on Microsoft, which is most of the corporate world. Europe skews Microsoft heavily. Now here's a career angle worth thinking about, because it's counterintuitive. When a skill is less common, the people who have it can be worth more. There are fewer strong Tableau specialists than strong Power BI generalists. So in a company that has standardized on Tableau, a genuinely good Tableau person has real leverage. That's not a reason to pick Tableau blindly. It's a reason to notice that being the 100,000th Power BI beginner is not automatically the safest strategy either. So what about money? Does one pay more? And here I have to be careful, because there's a lot of nonsense published on this, usually by people selling a course. The honest answer is that salary surveys often show Tableau roles paying somewhat more on average. But I do not think that means Tableau is worth more per hour of study. And here's why. It's a mix effect. Tableau is concentrated in sectors that pay more anyway. Finance, big tech, consulting. A hedge fund analyst using Tableau earns more than a manufacturing analyst using Power BI. But that's mostly the hedge fund, not the Tableau. Power BI is spread across the whole economy, including plenty of lower paying industries, which drags its average down. So the tool is not the variable, the industry is. What actually moves your salary in either tool is the same three things. Can you model data properly? Can you write the calculation language well, DAX or Tableaus? And can you talk to a business stakeholder and turn their vague question into a specific number? That third one is worth more than either tool, and almost nobody trains for it. Now let me give you the thing that almost nobody mentions. And if you're job hunting, it might be the most useful 5 minutes of this video. Tableau Public. It's free and it's a portfolio host. You build a dashboard, you publish it, and you get a live public link that anyone can click and interact with. No login, no install. Works on a phone. Think about what that means for a job application. You send a recruiter a link and they see your interactive dashboard in their browser in about 4 seconds. Compare that with the Power BI equivalent. You can use publish to web and it does work, but it's clunkier, it's often blocked by company policy, and there's no equivalent community gallery where your work gets discovered. Most Power BI job seekers end up sending screenshots or a PBIX file that the recruiter cannot open. So here's a strategy I genuinely recommend, and it's a bit sneaky. Learn Power BI as your primary tool, because that's where the jobs are, but build 2 or 3 portfolio pieces in Tableau Public, because that's the best free way to show a stranger your work. You get the job market of one and the shop window of the other. Let me be specific about how transferable this actually is, because I think people massively overestimate the cost of switching. If you know one of these tools properly, learning the other takes somewhere between 2 and 4 weeks to become useful, not months.
Here's what transfers, and it's most of it. Data modeling, star schemas, fact and dimension tables, relationships, granularity, identical thinking in both. Chart selection, knowing that a bar chart is for comparing categories and a line is for time, same everywhere. The concept of aggregation and grain, which is the hard bit in both languages. Dashboard design and layout principles, filtering and interactivity concepts, data cleaning logic. All of that carries straight across. What doesn't transfer is the surface, where the buttons are, the specific syntax, the names for the same idea. And that's genuinely a few weeks of annoyance, not a new career. So please don't agonize over this decision like it's permanent. It isn't. The worst realistic outcome of choosing wrong is that you spend 3 weeks converting. The much worse outcome is spending 6 months deciding and learning neither.
Okay, decision time. 4 questions in order and stop at the first one that gives you a clear answer. Question 1. Do you already have a job and does your company already use one of them? Then learn that one. This overrides everything else in this video. Nothing beats being able to practice on real data at work. Question 2. Do you have a specific employer or a specific industry you're targeting? Go and read 20 of their job postings and count which tool is named. 20 postings takes 15 minutes and it beats every opinion on the internet, including mine. Question 3. Are you targeting finance, big tech product analytics, healthcare analytics, or a global capability center of a large multinational? Then seriously consider Tableau, because those are the pockets where it's the standard. Question 4. None of the above, and you just want the highest number of doors open? Learn Power BI. It's free to start, it's in more postings, and the ecosystem logic is on your side. That's it. That's the whole decision. It should take you about 5 minutes, not 5 weeks.
So let's pull it together. Power BI is cheaper, which means more companies buy it, which means more job postings, especially in mid-size enterprises and anywhere running Microsoft. Tableau is better at visualization and exploration, and it's the standard in finance, big tech, healthcare, and a lot of global capability centers. Price and ecosystem decide what companies buy, and what companies buy decides what they hire for. AI is real in both, but it's mostly locked behind expensive licenses, and it does not replace understanding your data. Salary differences are mostly industry, not tool. Tableau Public is the best free portfolio host, and you can use it even if Power BI is your main tool. And switching costs you weeks, not months. So for most of you, the move is this. Learn Power BI properly, learn SQL alongside it. Seriously, don't skip that. Publish 2 portfolio pieces on Tableau Public and revisit in 6 months. If this helped, subscribe, because next time going deep on DAX, which is the thing that actually separates people in Power BI. And tell me in the comments which one your company uses and whether they chose it on purpose. See you in the next one.